So someone asked, help me understand what true meditation is and how you do it. You know, what happens usually when people try to meditate, especially people who are asking what meditation is, how to meditate. They only know, they have seen pictures of the Buddha, he was sitting cross-legged under a tree, that must be meditation. And when you yourself, not knowing what true meditation is, try to meditate, then the most obvious answer would be to just do what the Buddha did, just sit somewhere and be somewhere. But then arises the question, like, how am I supposed to do it? Like, what's the goal? And you have to ask yourself, what is your goal? Why do you even want to meditate? And I assume that you want to have peace. People want to meditate because they want to have an experience of, extraordinary joy and peace and love and connection and unity to the universe. And they want to have an insight into the nature of the human mind, and also an insight into the nature of human suffering. But what causes people to then stop and go back and ask someone how to do it? It's usually their inability to stay with the suffering that they're in. You sit down and you cannot stand your thoughts. There are thoughts appearing. And it's agitated because you have fried your nervous system in the past, because you went through a lot of trauma, a lot of grief, a lot of, things that you haven't truly processed. And when you're just there in stillness, then you have to face those things. But then the question arises how to meditate, because there is the pre-assumption that if you would know how to meditate, then you could find a way around the suffering. And then when a guru tells you there is a way around the suffering, that's only perpetuating the suffering, because there is no way around the suffering. You have to go right through it. In fact, you have to see that you are not separate from the suffering, because when you are trying to separate yourself from the suffering, the feelings, the throbbing, the pulsating, the hurt in the body, and also the thoughts that are saying that you're not lovable, that are saying that you're a failure, that say that you have lost so many good things, that say that you have done so many bad things. When you try to separate yourself from them, saying, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, I must find a method to get rid of those things, then you are avoiding reality, because the suffering right now is a reality that you have to face. And you have to face that reality called your suffering. And when you do this without trying to control the suffering, without trying to control the thoughts, and you're no longer trying to separate yourself from the happening you call suffering, what happens then usually, or what can happen, is an insight that the very effort to stop the suffering is what hinders you in meditation. The very effort to meditate, which could look like, trying to separate yourself from the activity of thought, is what keeps you from meditating. But when you simply allow those processes to happen inside of you, you'll see that there is no center of there is no sense, there's no self in the center of your body and mind that is suffering from those movements. And then those movements are no longer resisted by the illusory sense of self, and therefore they can play out as they want. They start to dance, and they start to come up with images, and they start to come up with unprocessed emotions, and your body maybe starts to shake and things start to happen. And then all of a sudden the body can slowly just calm down. But it's not something you have caused. You simply stopped trying to bring about a cause, and you surrender to the happening, even if that is painful. And so there is no separation anymore between what's happening and the illusory sense of me that is bringing about that happening. There is just a happening. And the thought that says, I'm doing it, is also just a happening. And there's no separation as the awareness from what's happening, saying, I'm looking from afar. There's just what's happening. That is meditation. So your body is one unitary biological system that happens by itself. It includes all the processes in the body, the emotions, the thoughts, all of it happens by itself, even decision making. And the sense that there is someone separate from this unitary process of the biological body-mind is what causes inner conflict. There's someone standing in the way. There's someone trying to suppress what wants to happen. And it's a thought that says, I shouldn't think this, I should think this. I shouldn't feel this, I should feel like that. I shouldn't be like that, I should be like that. You know? But you cannot get rid of those should and shouldn't thoughts. You have to recognize that those should and shouldn't thoughts are also just happenings that are not to be resisted. You cannot resist them. And even if there is a thought appearing that says, oh, I have resisted them again, I have failed, that's also something that should not be resisted. You see, because you see that in this pure non-dual seeing, that there cannot be any resistance. There can only be the appearance of what you might call resistance. But that's not a problem. And in this cessation of the duality within yourself, that's called the awakening. And that's when, your insight starts to deepen, but the true awakening is that moment. When there's no resistor anymore. When it is seen that resistance is only an appearance that is not resisted. You see? I know maybe some people would have liked it more when I would have given you a step 1, step 2, step 3 thing, but that wouldn't be meditation. In the end, meditation is just when you are, the way you are, with all of your thoughts, with all of your emotions, and you're not trying to change anything about it. You allow it to be. Consciousness is already conscious. You don't have to bring about consciousness through effort. Consciousness is already seeing the process of thought without effort. Just in the same way that you are already aware of what I'm saying, you don't have to understand every single thing I'm saying, but the ears perceive what I'm saying. You see? There is sound. And you don't put in any effort to, receive that sound. It's being received. That's how consciousness works. And that's not a separate self putting in effort to cause that, to do that. So in this natural awareness, which is not caused by you, there's already the happening of thinking, which is not caused by you. And there's already the thought that says, I'm doing it though, which is not caused by you. And there are feelings that are not caused by you. So it's just a happening which is perceived by something that you don't do. And that is meditation.